Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that introduction, Conrad. And I've got a lot of my notes are all chicken scratch here, but I think we're going to be just fine with them. So they tasked me tonight with talking about the Beyond stuff, right?
Make sure to tell them that you are the one of the owners of the Six Spady hamburger.
Thank you very much. Next Dragon Restaurants, we'll put in a shameless plug. We're been in Seattle for many years, and we're up in Edmonds and soon to open in Kent. So it's a beloved institution. I'm sorry, I'm biased, but thank you. And it's giving back to the community in lots of different ways. Could be food, right? Could be community, right? Could be just. This is the engagement that my father started with our family. And absolutely. It's something that we're very proud of as a family and hope to be able to continue for many generations. Our family is engaged in making it an intergenerational business. So it will pass from my generation, my second generation, very soon, on to the third and out and beyond. So hopefully many more years in the future. So as I was saying, getting back to my script, the beyond. What is the beyond? So that's a big topic, and for sure, but I'm going to try to condense all the knowledge of the beyond into the next few minutes. And I wanted to give, first of all, a shout out to a lot of people that are here. Now, not everyone that I know from the past is here, but if you are an alumni of the American Immigration Forums, could you stand for a moment? I know of at least two. We have Mason and we have Kate. Anyone else? Thank you very much. Oh, yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you. Mason's sister. And, no, I'm sorry. Charles.
Mason.
Not quite. That's okay.
I'm so sorry. We'll cut that one out. Emily, thank you very much. So, the American Immigration Forum was a big step for Conrad and myself, trying to get people together to really talk about important issues and then to take that knowledge out into the community, ask them for their own opinion. I want to have a couple more shout-outs. So if you are actually in school now, in high school or in college, and you don't have to stand again if you don't want to, but if you're in school now, just stand for a moment. I want to get a sense of who's here, who's in school. So just stand up if you're in school now. All right. Yeah. Take a look around. Stay standing for a moment. That these folks are proof. These students are proof that the future is alive and well. I'm looking at each of you as our future. Go ahead. Thank you very much. Sit down. And I want to thank you in advance for your future public service. Your future public service. Maybe people aren't going to thank you enough in the years to come. So I'm going to start right now and thank you for what you're going to do, not only for yourself, but for your communities. Okay? Because service comes in lots of different forms. There's the traditional type of service that we probably all can recognize. Military service, police, firefighting, public service like this, and even political service is a well-known and respected form of public service. But there are also forms that you might not immediately recognize. Do we have any teachers? Yes, we have one back here. Any other teachers? Okay, so teaching, I consider to be a very important form of public service. It doesn't mean work for nothing. We all have to live and survive, but teaching the next generation, caring for them is a critical public service. Other things such as, are there city employees or county employees or federal employees? Just if you work for government, raise your hand. Here, okay. This is an important form of public service as well. You know, that we vote a lot of our political class in, and then we can get benefit for doing what they're supposed to do. But it's a form of public service, and if we don't have fine people stepping forward, then it's at the loss of everyone. And also, you all that haven't raised your hand yet, you're going to be making a difference. If you make a difference in the lives of a single person at a very local level, even if you get no recognition for it, that's public service. Right? It's public service when you help someone. You all will have a stake in that in the future. But my all too brief message for you tonight, and I'll try to stay on time here in the next 10 minutes, is to encourage you to find a way to take your own version of public service and take it to scale. And to help as many people as you possibly can find their own voice. And hopefully, if you're lucky, to get them to do the same for others through both civic and community engagement, which I'm about to talk about. It is my belief. It's a belief in the value of paying it forward. I was where a lot of you are now. Can you believe it? A lot of the older people, we used to be young. We used to be students. And it's like over, almost like that. But you all have the opportunity to take what we've learned. We had the opportunity to take what our predecessors learned and to pass it on. And that's what I think is very important in the Beyond scheme. I'm a proud Interlake graduate from 1974. Very much. Okay, so let's look at these definitions for a moment. They've been up there for a while. Hopefully you've had a chance to read them. They're lifted from a simple online search. They're not mine. So the key phrases for me are, quote, to make a difference in the civic life of our communities, and also working collaboratively to address the well-being of those community groups. Also, developing the combination of knowledge, skill, values, and motivation to make that difference happen. Motivating people, engaging. And also the activities include being transparent reporting. Nothing that's closed, but all transparent as much as possible. Sunshine is the best disinfectant, right? Public meetings, town hall meetings. And for me tonight especially, collaborative decision making. A lot of our decisions are made for us on our behalf. Very rarely do we have the opportunity to impress or express ourselves. This hall is filled up with lots of supportive and anti-people on lots of different issues. But as Conrad was saying, it's small in relationship to the entire size of the community. So there's a phrase that I've learned that I want to pass on to you. And that phrase is, nothing about us without us. Nothing about us without us. Which means to me that if there are decisions that are being made that impact me personally, or a category of people that I belong to or that I care about, right? Then I or my representatives must be present at that proverbial table of stakeholders. You're going to hear this phrase a lot as you're growing up. Who are the stakeholders? They were at the table. What is this table? My best table is Thanksgiving table. But beyond that, there are this proverbial table of people who want to see things happen. The movers, the shakers, the stakeholders in the city. But that table, by and large, is missing the largest component, and that is the people that are going to be affected by it. Well, you can't possibly get it. It's such a big community. How do you get everybody physically together? I think the key is you don't have to get them physically together. This chamber, sometimes, when it wants to broadcast these things over Comcast, right? You can expand your network. You can expand your outreach to people. So how can you do, nothing about us without us. So here's a case in point. The Seattle City Council has struggled recently with how to raise funds to help people impacted by issues of homelessness. It's an issue that a lot of people and a lot of communities face. So Seattle formed a proverbial table of stakeholders. And now, you may know a lot more of the stakeholders than I do, but there were physical people sitting down at the table. The business community, the advocacy community, the political community, and probably even elements of the homeless community. But I want to say that from my perspective, that proverbial table failed to meet the intent of civic engagement on behalf of the different and diverse communities that were impacted by the issue. We saw that in aftermath. We saw how that unraveled. The city found itself on the receiving end of a pushback from many of those communities, and that ultimately did not feel that they were heard or that they were listened to. And even worse, communities with different values and motivations were becoming estranged and angry. I personally think that the council did the only thing it could do to short circuit the People's Initiative and to quell the emerging infighting and recrimination when they voted to rescind their previous decision. So you can, sitting in Bellevue from afar, you might laugh at Seattle for all the problems that they went through, but it was churning, and hopefully other people learned a lot from what we went through. I mean, that's a good thing that can come out. That I think there really needs to be a way to expand the level of involvement from just the stakeholders. There are methodologies that we can use to engage a lot more people and to have those views represented in our decisions, in our community. So wrapping up here, my intent tonight was not to leave you dejected, but rather to inspire you. To inspire you to find the ways to make civic and community engagement work for you, both within, between, and among our different communities. I have my own ideas, if anyone cares to ask me. Seattle, are you listening? Bellevue, are you listening? But all of you tonight, and especially our rising generation, the people that stood before you, you know this term, rising seniors, rising juniors. This is different from when I was going to school. The word rising means changing from one class to the next. Right? You all that were standing are the rising generation. And the rising generation of community leaders, you need to pick that mantle up and find a way forward to go beyond, getting back to the theme, to go beyond what we have available to us today. Ultimately, going beyond, and I'll put it in quotes, is your role and your vision. But I would ask you to remember that it's not just about you and your vision, but it instead needs to find a way to be about all of us together. As much as we can, give us a way to make a difference, to engage, even if it's not sitting at the one table with everybody. We can sit with our friends and colleagues and other tables, and we can collectively gather all those opinions and values, and we can collectively make our voice heard. And we can also sit inside this chamber and yell and scream or applaud if we want to as well. Because remember, finally, nothing about us without us. Thank you very much.